Thanks very much, Count Corla. And I too welcome my colleague Thomas Pringle's bill. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for this House to be to the forefront of an important environmental step. And I think Deputy Pringle himself made the points in his introductory remark which show that it is beyond question that ISIF should not be investing in fossil fuel companies. And I have to say, Minister, that against the backdrop of those points, your request to Deputy Pringle to withdraw this bill was, at best petty, but at worst the government's own version of climate change denial, because you really don't get the urgency in the present situation and the desperate need to take action now. And even we, as a small country on the periphery of Europe, can be a beacon to other countries around the globe by taking this step here today. And I'm very glad that members of the public, NGOs and the opposition benches are reflecting the mood of the public on this, bringing today's issue to the House. But you really should be hanging your head in shame that the government not only is not bringing this, but is actually going to vote against it. And I'd really encourage you to think hard about that, because you're out of step with what's necessary and you're out of step with the wishes of the Irish people, because we need to do something, and dealing with fossil fuels in this way is an important step that we can take, because the spectre of climate change is a reality. Already the world's temperature has been raised by 1 degree. Now that's been enough to melt almost half the ice in the Arctic, kill off vast swathes of the world's coral and unleash lethal floods and drought. In a matter of months last year, long stretches of the Great Barrier Reef, which dates back past the start of human civilization and is so huge that it's visible from space, was essentially reduced to white boneyards. July and August 2016, the hottest months ever recorded on the Earth. Places like Basra hitting 54 degrees Celsius, temperatures at which humans can almost not survive out of doors. Forest fires forcing the total evacuation of a city of 90,000 people in Canada. So we're already seeing millions of people being made refugees as a result of climate change. But sure, because it's not us and it's not happening here yet, we might be all right for a little bit longer. That type of attitude isn't good enough anymore. That's what's happened at 1 degree of warning. And the IPCC tell us that if we carry on with business as usual, then our society's continuing to burn fossil fuels, incentivising fossil fuels, investing in fossil fuels, then the Earth's average temperatures are going to rise between 2.6 and 4.8 degrees above pre-industrial levels by 2100. So we don't have decades to deal with this or put this bill back and tinker around with things. We're already on the verge and in the middle of actually catastrophic change which needs to be addressed. In fact, the International Energy Agency's chief economist put it bluntly when he said the door to reach 2 degrees is about to close. In 2017, it will be closed forever. Activists are talking about decade zero. This is the challenge that is facing humanity, and the idea that we wouldn't even move this relatively simple but very important symbolic step forward, I find quite shocking, because at 3 degrees, we know means the death of the Amazon rainforest. 4 degrees means 2/3 of the plant species and 1/3 of mammal species may not survive. 2 billion people without drinkable water. That's more than 1/4 of the people on Earth. And this scenario is posed in the lifetime of children born today if we carry on as we're going now. And that's not actually exaggerating things at all. In fact, some people believe that the timescale could be quicker and the damage could be greater because of feedback loops set off as our climate disintegrates around us. So business as usual is not an option. So we have to fight to keep fossil fuels in the ground. But we have to do more than that. We have to acknowledge that our entire economic model of endless growth at any cost has to be done away with. We have to tackle the roots of neoliberal capitalism and the climate change that goes with it hand in hand. It's completely incompatible with human civilization. So we have to engage in that struggle, in a struggle with the climate deniers. And I think it is poignant that the debate is taking place today before the inauguration of someone at the helm of the world's most powerful economy, who is climate denier. A frightening spectacle. And we can't do anything about that, but in our own small way, we could be an alternative beacon and a vision of hope up against that. And, if the government doesn't think that there's an issue here, or, that this is all exaggerated, that is not the scientific and the real view on the ground. And in fairness, Minister, I think you have been consistently shameful in your inaction on this issue. I mean, the low carbon development plan was a joke. You stand over a situation whereby energy users are paying a surcharge to subsidise peat burning for power generation in Offaly and Longford, a subsidy of 180 million per annum, on average €230 per Irish citizen every year. You're incentivising agriculture, who's going to increase its emissions between 6 and 7% by 2020. Transport emissions are set to climb between 10% and 16% against 2014 levels. It'd be, if you were serious, you'd be doing something about the fact that we're actually going to fall a full 70% short of our 2020 emission targets. So we have quite an appallingly dirty record across the world. We're one of the worst per capita polluters, and not just in the world, but in the industrial world. And we have a chance to do something different here today. The issue is bigger than divesting from fossil fuels. But that doesn't mean it's not important. And it's not even just that it's symbolically important, because even if it was just symbolically important, symbolism is important and can have an important effect. But that's not the only reason. It can have a concrete impact as well in terms of the effect of those investments. And I think Trócaire put it very well at the presentation in the AV room, that what is posed in front of the House today is making a stance against the spectre of public money being used against the public interest. That's what we're talking about. The taxpayers don't want that. The citizens don't want that. The scientists don't want it. Thankfully, enough people in this House don't want it. So this bill is going to go to second stage, but I'd really appeal to you to come on board, wake up, stop the denial, and at least catch up with where the Irish population is on this issue.